Good morning. My name is Christy Edwards, and I'm the principal of Randle Highlands Elementary School.
Hey,
Make me feel good. Thank you to all the families, students, staff, and community partners who are here to help us celebrate this monumental day for our community. It is my honor to officially welcome everyone to the opening of the modernized historic Randle Highlands Early Learning Center. I'd also like to thank Mayor Bowser, Chancellor Farabee, and Director Henderson for making today possible. As many of you may know, Randle Highlands is an historic neighborhood in the District of Columbia. In the early 1900s, a successful newspaper publisher and prominent developer by the name of Arthur E. Randle built a number of neighborhoods east of the Anacostia River. He is also credited with building a school named fittingly after him. This neighborhood and school came to fruition right where we are standing today. Much has happened over the last 111 years since the inception of our school. But in that time, Randle Highlands Elementary School has grown into a nurturing place dedicated to meeting the social, emotional, and developmental needs of our students. We have grown into a community that is committed to ensuring that every child receives a joyful and rigorous educational experience. While we are more than just classrooms, this modernization guarantees that our students have the proper learning environment for our pre-K students. We now have state-of-the-art technology to help our kids learn, and a beautiful updated playground where memories and friendships will be made. This project also celebrates our unique history by restoring an original interior staircase and preserving a historic classroom. And this is just the tip of the iceberg of what this modernization project has accomplished. It is thanks to our DCPS family support, along with the leadership of Mayor Bowser, for continuing to advocate on our behalf that has brought us here today. On that note, I'd like to join with our students to help us welcome our esteemed Mayor, Mayor Bowser. Ready? Ready? Welcome, Mayor Bowser.
let's give a big hand to Principal Edwards, the entire team at Randle Highlands Elementary, and now the beautiful, historic Randle Highlands Early Learning Center. Give her a big round of applause. And to our boys and girls, welcome back to school. I am delighted to be here with members of our public education team to continue back to school week in Washington, D.C. I know Principal Edwards represents a cadre of energetic, innovative, happy school principals who have been planning with their teachers and staff how to have a great school year for our students. We're very grateful for your leadership, and we're very grateful for all of our teachers. Let's hear for DCPS teachers. Give them a big round of applause, who are focused on having just an outstanding school year for our kids. It's wonderful to be here at Randle Highlands. It's been a number of years since we walked through looking at facilities when I became mayor, and paid a lot of attention to this one. In the city, in city government, we referred to this building as Old Randle Highlands. And we had to say that Old Randle Highlands would have a new life again. And it would be a part of a strategy that we embarked upon to create early learning schools across the District of Columbia. Now, this one is a historic site. You heard already that it opened in 1911. So it's over 100 years old. And in 2003, the new Randle Highlands building was built. So today, this building begins a new chapter. In this chapter, we doubled the size of our pre-K program to 112 seats, that will include, eventually, in addition to free pre-K, as I like to call it, it will include an infant and toddler program here at Randle Highlands Early Learning Center. In recent years, we have invested $100 million to expand early learning childhood opportunities in the district. I talked about a new strategy that we had. It started with the opening of the Stevens Early Learning Center in Ward 2. Last year, the Military Road Early Learning Center in Ward 4. Today, Randle Highlands Early Learning Center in Ward 7. And they will be joined by the Thurgood Marshall Early Learning Center in Minor, right? Old Minor, is that right? In Ward 6. And so with the addition, is that right? It's now Ward 7? Thank you, board member. With the addition of these early learning centers, we now, here, particularly at Randle, have a total of 11 pre-K classrooms. And I mentioned we'll soon have a community-based organization that offers toddler child care here in this building. So we've said before, and our parents confirm, that we have the best pre-K program anywhere in the United States of America. We were one of the first cities in the nation to roll out universal pre-K. And now we're expanding those opportunities because we know how critical pre-K is to later success in school. And I know that the chancellor will remind families that have 3-year-olds who aren't enrolled yet to get enrolled, and you can get enrolled right now at a DCPS school, and the chancellor will talk about that in a little bit. So while we're not just focused on pre-K, we're very focused on high-quality child care as well. Superintendent Grant and her team are very focused with OSSI to make sure that we are investing in and in strengthening our child care centers, that we are growing our child care workforce so that people can grow their careers right here in Washington, D.C. In fact, early childhood educators can apply for supplemental payments through the Early Childhood Educator Pay Equity Fund. I also want to thank the men and women who helped bring this building back to life, and you're going to hear from the director of DGS about how we have invested in this building, what's special about this building, how DC residents went to work in this building to bring it back to life. I want to just acknowledge you're going to hear from the Chancellor and Director Anderson, but I want to acknowledge the Deputy Mayor for Education, Paul Kine. Thank you, Paul, for your leadership, as well as our Superintendent, Christina Grant, the OSSI Superintendent for Education. Ebony Rose, who is your Ward 7 member of the Board of Education, the State Board of Education. Thank you, Ebony Rose, for your leadership. And so with that, I'm going to turn to Chancellor Farabee, followed by Director Anderson, and then we'll cut the ribbon. Thank you, Chancellor.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning again. Happy first day pre-K. When you start the school year with the K through 12 students, families are also gearing up for the special day when we bring our 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds in. And I can tell you across the district, there are bubbling faces and students that are excited to be in our schools. And you see it right here firsthand. They've been amazing, right? You wouldn't even know that we've got 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds in the room today. But we're excited to receive all of our students this week in DCPS. And we're also excited about the leadership in our schools. Thank you, Principal Edwards. You and your administrative team have been phenomenal. I know in our visits we talked about this day. It's finally here. And I tell our principals all the time, excellence is not achieved by chance or circumstance. It's intentional and it's strategic, and you continue to live that through the experiences and leadership here on your campus. And again, we're grateful. Thank you very much. Mayor Bowser, we've done it again. Thank you so much for your leadership, your motivational remarks. just energizing the DCPS community for another great school year. And your investments in our schools have been just unprecedented. So again, we're grateful. Give it up for Mayor Bowser and just how she continues to invest in our schools. Also, there's members of our team I do want to recognize. So we have the chief of our elementary schools with us today. Want to recognize you. Thank you so much, Kim, for your leadership. We also have Instructional Superintendent Stinson with us as well, who also supports the school leadership here. And we have members of our operational team here. Thank you, Andrea Swayatoka, for your leadership as well. And then Dr. Cheryl Olson leads all of our early childhood work across the district for our 3-year-olds and 4-year-olds. So again, give all the members of the DCPS team a round of applause. I also want to recognize that we are, in addition to opening our pre-K seats, we also have our infants and toddlers that are on the way as well in this facility. So this modernization allows us to serve a wide spectrum of students and families in DC Public Schools. And that wouldn't be possible also without the leadership of Dr. Grant. So thank you, Dr. Grant, and IC's leadership and commitment to supporting our families. I do want to remind everyone, as the mayor said earlier, we're excited to receive students, but our doors are still open. And we still have seats. So we encourage families to register if you haven't done so already. And there are still pre-K seats available for families. As families come into the school year, we also want to remind them that we have a very aggressive effort this year to ensure that our students are safe and healthy. And part of that is ensuring that our students have received all of their pediatric immunizations. And so if you would help us spread the word to ensure that that is an active process as we start this school year, we greatly appreciate it. I want to close on this note that we know that we have much work to do with our students academically, socially, and emotionally. And that all starts with our pre-K experiences. And so this will be our strategy to continue to deepen the understanding on the areas that are highlighted, but also to accelerate learning. And when students leave our pre-K classroom, the data and the research is clear. They're better prepared. They have the prerequisite skills to succeed when they get to kindergarten and beyond. And so we're excited that we have the ability to expand the number of seats and build on experiences that we're currently offering in DCPS. And that starts with a phenomenal facility. So it is my pleasure at this time to turn it over to Director Anderson, who's going to share more about the historic building here and what we've been able to accomplish to create a robust and rich learning environments for our students. Director Anderson?
Thank you, Chancellor. And good morning, Randle Highlands Hornets. I am Keith Anderson, Director of the Department of General Services, and it has been a real joy to manage the renovations you will see in and around the historic Randle Highlands Early Learning Center. This place, as mentioned, first built in 1911, is just as deserving of a modernization of any of our schools. In fact, we agree with Mayor Bowser that investments in early learning are a real investment in our future of the city. Mayor Bowser and Chancellor Farabee, thank you for your partnership and support of DGS to make sure our school facilities support our young people and our educators. Since 2007, the Department of General Services has renovated 89 DC public schools, and I'm proud to include Randle Highlands in that figure today. That's right. The increase in school renovations represents a strong commitment to designing facilities that match the unique needs of education and meeting the changing trends in the architecture and construction industries. Those who will most benefit from this combined commitment are district students. Mayor Bowser and Randle Highlands family, our youngest students are going to thrive here. I am proud that my team is part of this new change while preserving the school's rich history. Inside, you'll see the addition of more than 21,000 square feet of space, Discovery Pod classrooms, restoration of historic classrooms, and more windows. Our sustainability efforts include 2 bioretention fields and a biophilic design that brings the outdoors in. Randle Highlands now also meets ADA compliance. So again, I want to thank Mayor Bowser for funding commitments that permit us to expand and reinforce our schools. I want to thank the Moya Design Partners and the Horde Copland Mock Group designers. Our appreciation also goes to Keystone Plus Construction as our general contractor. I have a deep appreciation also goes to my team in the Capital Construction Services Division for your continued hard work on this and all school properties and projects. Job well done, team. I think it's also beneficial to note that the design build team exceeded its CBE participation goal of 35% by reaching 76%. And 95 district residents worked on this project. Again, using our local talent. Thank you. So we know that Randle Highlands is a special place. Many of you here with us were once educated here. And so I'd like to thank you for trusting us with bringing you the next chapter at Randle Highlands. With that, Mayor Bowser, thank you, and move on.
All right, thank you. So to the whole team at DGS, thanks for your hard work on beautiful capital projects like this, but also on all the preventive maintenance work that you have been doing and working with all of the school staff on their day-to-day needs, right? All right, so we'll get there. So let's cut the ribbon, and then I will convene back here to take a few press questions or if there are any community questions.
Heads in the shot. Sit down. Yes. I'm good. Dave, I'm good.
Everybody look to the front. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I think we have excused our students, and okay. All right, so thank you. We've excused our students, and now we'll take any press, community questions. Before I do that, I want to acknowledge our ANC commissioners who are here. The chairwoman of ANC 7B? 7B, Tiffany Brown. Thank you, Chairwoman. Kevin Brown from 7B. Kelvin. Where are you, Kelvin? There you are, Kelvin. Travis Swanson. Thank you, Travis. And David Redlin. Thank you, David. So let's hear it for our commissioners. I think you guys might have a quorum or almost be to a quorum. Nice job. All right, we'll take any community questions. Any press questions first. Yes, Sam.
Yes, Mayor. I think we're in Ward 7.
We are in Ward. No, we're definitely in Ward 7. What's wrong with you?
Because I thought Minor was in 6 too. But in any event.
No, we're at Randle.
Okay.
I was talking about Minor because it's next.
Okay. Well,
but
anyway,
we're at Randle.
Also in Ward 7 yesterday, you had a situation where one student shot 2 other students, and I don't know. I'm interested in your sharing your thoughts about getting a handle around this situation of violence that impacts schools, obviously, as well as the rest of the community.
Well, it definitely demonstrates again how important it is that we stay focused on guns. Why does a teenager have a gun? So families, communities, schools. We also recognize how important it is to have a safety infrastructure in buildings, weapons abatement at the school, appropriate safety personnel at the school. All of those things are important. And it's also going to be important to make sure that we work with the families involved, that we don't see any further violence. So we're devastated by it, that 3 young people are impacted. School community is traumatized. But I will assure you that we're all kicking the tires on our processes. You're talking about an incident that was near one of our public charter schools, to make sure that they have the support that they need and trauma services that they need, but also that we're looking at all of our procedures.
Your plan is to talk to the parents involved in this, of the kids involved in this situation?
Well, of course, there will be trauma services and victim services available for the victims, and then our teams will, for the young person who was the perpetrator of this crime, a whole nother set of services available for them.
Something worked yesterday in the sense that it appears that no guns actually got into the school, at least in that case.
That does work, yes, but it's hard to say it worked when a young person had a gun and 2 people were injured. Two of his classmates were injured, but there was no weapon on our property. On the public charter schools, I should say. Yes.
Morning. Question about enrollment. I know numbers are still settling, but based on what you know right now, how much of the growth that has been indicated so far is being driven by pre-K students coming in?
I don't think we can say right now, but let me turn to the superintendent just to talk about how across both sectors how we monitor enrollment through the audit day.
Thanks, Mayor. It is the most popular question. We are monitoring enrollment, and as the Chancellor said, we have a lot of seats available for our little learners, and so if you would like to enroll your students in a DCPS school, please come directly to the school. We monitor enrollment on a daily basis across DCPS and public charter schools through October 5th, which is our count day. That is the first glimpse that we would be able to say from an unaudited stance, this is where enrollment trends are showing. We are hopeful and excited to see the families returning to our schools, but we will be monitoring it on a daily basis until we get to October 5th, which is count day. Today is the first day of pre-K. Welcome all our little learners back. The earliest that I'd have insight on what our numbers are looking like would be after Labor Day. So again, as families are coming back, we want to welcome you. We want to enroll. The Chancellor has shared we have significant amount of seats available, and so we have space for our learners and we welcome them into the doors. But again, we monitor really closely through October 5th. Today is day 1, and potentially by next week, we'll have an opportunity to see any emerging trends. Mm-hmm.
And we should clarify that our pre-K 3 and 4 programs are citywide. It's a citywide program. And so while there's space in the system across the city, there may not be space at the school across the street from you. So it's a citywide opportunity. Yes.
Staying on pre-K, do you normally have spaces available for pre-K at the first day of school, or is this unusual that you would have spaces available?
So as the mayor stated earlier, it is a citywide program, and so historically there have been schools that have had seats opening day, as we have this school year, but there also historically have been schools that don't have any seats, which is also true today as well. So we encourage families to maximize the seats that we do have. And I think this is a time for us to also reiterate that this is an important step to the educational journey for our next generation of Washingtonians that will be in our workforce and supporting our community is getting a strong start to their academic experience here in DCPS and across the city.
And could I ask a couple of questions about test scores? I know we're getting a little ahead of ourselves here, and I appreciate Dr. Grant moving up. But so we're yes, I realized that. So, you know, we see the NAEP top line scores nationally today that show a decrease. I know Park will come out tomorrow and NAEP in October. But I think we all know the trend we'll see there is that there's been a gap. There's been some learning loss because of COVID. And I'm just wondering, your thoughts on that, but more importantly, your thoughts on closing that gap, on reaching these students and getting them back on track.
Well, I mean, as we stand here today, excited about opening the doors of the school and welcoming back all our learners across the district, under Mayor Bowser's leadership, we have been steadfast in recovering from this pandemic, keeping our school doors open and safe for learning, and an investment of over $1 billion into public education in the district. And so we remain focused and targeted on accelerated learning and keeping our learners in school learning. As you referenced, NAEP did release their first set of trend analysis specific to 9-year-olds that do show a decline. But as you also shared, we will be sharing the results of our Park assessment data tomorrow, and that will be the first opportunity for us to look at learning and impacts on learning as it results to the pandemic across our district. It sets a foundation for our schools and our school communities to look at where our students are and where we intend for these investments to take them as we keep the school doors open, we keep our learners in our classrooms with their teachers and our peers, and we continue to recover from this historic event called a global pandemic. And I would defer back to the mayor to see if you have any additional remarks.
Well, I will start by saying we started thinking about learning loss in the weeks that following when we had to send kids and teachers home. And we have had a couple of budgets to make investments, to have programs already on the ground that have been on the ground for many months, if not up to 1 year. So I would like to ask the deputy mayor to address some of the investments that we've made in with our emergency funds and our local dollars.
Thank you, Mayor. Thanks, Mark, for the question. As the mayor said, as soon as we closed our schools in March of 2020, we began to prepare for what we knew would be the work we have to do in recovery. And in the 2 budget cycles we've seen since then, and taking full advantage of all the federal dollars that have come to the city, we have been putting in place a series of interventions that we believe are going to enable our students to make up the lost learning that they experienced over the course of the recovery. This includes making sure that we're expanding learning time within schools, but also offering learning acceleration in non-traditional settings. So the chancellor can share all of the work he's done over the summer with his learning acceleration academies, work that is mirrored across the charter sector and charter schools. We've invested over $40 million in high impact tutoring that is available to students in school, after school, and in other non-traditional settings. We have established learning acceleration opportunities in our summer camps through our so-called Boost camps, where we had 1,500 students this past summer having fabulous recreational experiences at DPR, but also getting learning. We had 4,000 students this past summer in our summer youth employment program based at schools where they got their work-based learning opportunity plus credit recovery and learning acceleration. So we have been active in trying to get ahead of what we knew would be very sobering results for us, and we believe this work will pay off.
Yes.
I appreciate all those answers very much. On the test to return data that I appreciate is online and broken down by school, what we're seeing is there's about 15,000 students who didn't submit, and I know they were allowed to take tests when they came in, but can you tell us now how many students were turned away because of lack of testing? You have about 50,000 students. You've accounted for about 30,000 in the data that you've published, so that leaves a gap of about 15,000 students. I'm just wondering what happened to those 15,000 students.
Do we know the answer to that? Yeah. Okay.
So there's about 3,000 to 4,000 students that just arrived today. So That data do not include our earliest learners, and our 3-year, 4-year-olds are on campus today, and we'll be able to report out updated data that reflects those students that arrived on campus. We also had the ability, as we've done in the past, to test students on campus, and we've done that throughout the first few days of school, and we'll continue to do that as needed. Because that is very fluid with on-site testing, we don't have a specific number to report at each campus on on-site testing. But to answer your question, Mark, there have been no exclusions as relates to COVID testing for testing return.
Appreciate that.
Other questions? Any questions from the community? Yes, ma'am.
I live here on 30th Street, and my biggest concern is the traffic. Last year, it was terrible. There were incidents where we had to call the police because of the noise and the cursing and all of that, because this is a two-way street, but sometimes in the morning, it's a one-way street because they're coming down on both sides.
Okay, commuter traffic?
Commuter traffic because
Okay.
they come into Maryland and come
Okay.
down this way. So
Okay.
it is very bad, very
Okay, so let me ask the team to note that we have spent quite some time in the last year traffic calming around schools. So let me make sure we turn our attention to these streets. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions? Yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is My name is Cornelius Bailey. I've been a resident of Randle, Highlands since 1964. I had my mother and my wife have taught at Randle, Highlands, but I just want to say thank you for you and your administration deciding to renovate this building.
Thank you.
I mean, it's such a thrill to me. I mean, when I first saw the construction started, I knew something was changing.
Mm-hmm.
Now, this is a great ceremony here, but I knew we would eventually get to this point, and I appreciate
Thank you.
putting the funds up, and I hope that you can get the use out of this program that you intend.
Thank you. I think that we can. And like a lot of communities, the school population dipped, but what we see in neighborhoods surrounding the school is the school population going back up. And so we want to continue to make investments in this school for sure, Randle Highlands, and the entire feeder. So thank you, everybody. Thank you. Have a great first week of school.